Today I'll be creating two charming patriotic decorations, perfect to adding that rustic touch to your home or garden. So to make these wooden firecrackers, I had a spare metal star and I used that just to trace star shapes. And I have my handy dandy pencil. I did have tape. I didn't feel like going and getting my painter's tape, so I used a roll of the duct tape from Dollar Tree I had. But I just kind of spaced off because I want one going vertical and one horizontal with my lines. And I don't know why I'm using this as a roller, but I use that piece of tape as a roller. Meanwhile, I do have a roller, clearly. But I evenly spaced them. And to make it easier to get the perfect spacing, I measured down too. It's hard to explain, but it's kind of like a game of connect the dots. So here on this one, I wanted like half stars showing, so I spaced my star off my piece of wood to like have half of the stars showing, and I just kind of spaced it to what looked appealing to my eye. Not too big of gaps, but not too close. I just eyeballed this. And this is exactly how I did it. If you ever want to see, I could have went in with my Cricut and like printed out a stencil and painted it, but I had the star and I thought this just would have been perfect. And then I just kind of drew a line to separate it. And for my blue color, I went with an acrylic paint from Dollar Tree, and I had a real blue color from Apple Barrel. I just kind of mixed them half and half. And I used my flat brush to paint it. I used 2 to 3 coats. I can't remember exactly, but I just kept my paintbrush flat to my piece of wood and got them lines as crisp as I could. I was not perfect, but I fixed that coming up. And I don't forget to paint the sides and the top. And since I'm making two, I just hopped on to my other one. Usually everybody likes to decorate with odd numbers like 1, 3, but to me that don't matter. What you like is what you like. So, I'm going to distress these with a gray stain that I have. But first, I'm going to go in with these stars and I'm going to crisp them up with my pencil. I'm going to make my graphite lines there. And honestly, you don't even need to use a roller. I end up not using a roller because I do this twice. And I use my finger to kind of smudge it. It does make a difference in the end result. And I go up and down my horizontal line to kind of give it a distressed look. And I lightly go over it with my gray stain just on a piece of paper towel. It's Sparkle brand paper towel, not the good expensive Vivas. This is just a Sparkle paper towel that I lightly go over my top there. And I outline the box of where it's blue. And then I lightly go over the white, trying not to be too harsh. And then I'm going to outline the whole thing in the stain. It really dimmed down that bright blue, which I loved. And here's where I said go in freestyle with the pencil to crisp up my lines on the stars. It does make a huge difference. And the stain kind of like helps seal that in. Now my other two paints were outdoor paints, so I wasn't worried about them, but the acrylic I was. And here's how they're looking with my distressing. I did both techniques to each one with the pencil on the vertical and the horizontal. Now you see on this how the red kind of smears onto the white when I painted the sides. I was not careful, and I did that on purpose. So we need the part that comes out of the firecracker. I'm using this little piece here I got actually from a stand I built that I used in my craft room to store crafts. I have a bunch of pieces, which ain't good, obviously, unless they just give you a bunch of spare. So what I do is I E6000, and I used my hot glue to have it like stick more automatic. And I let it sit for quite a few hours before I went in and did anything to it. And this does not have to be permanent to me. I don't have space to keep storing crafts. And I can turn this into something else down the long run, you know. So I got these awesome balloon holders. These are going to be like my sparkle effect coming from the firecracker. I tore them apart. It's super easy to do. You can even use scissors to cut them. And I used my finger to twirl them on the one. And I just glued those each individually down and made sure they stuck good. And then to stick like the fire effect, I went in with my staple gun. Now it's kind of hard to see, but I have two different colors here of the balloon holders. I have a gold and like a brass tone. So that's what I stuck down through the middle to like look like a flame. And I stuck some like to look like they're coming off from the sides of the wood here, like a firecracker effect, like a orb around it kinda. Here I'm showing you how easy it is just to pull these apart. I did set aside the bottoms and put in a bag for a future use. I don't know for what, but I'm going to show you here more in detail the easiest way to do it. I kind of just take it and pinch it in between my thumb and index finger, hold it down, and boom, staple. And I did mix the colors. It's just really hard to see in the video, but there is the brass and the gold color. I wanted one more dramatic. I didn't want them like both over the top. So I did one more simple, like this. Give it a haircut if you need to. Then I ended up, it all fell out. I had to fix it. But then I went more dramatic on the other. And look how beautiful. These on my bench, like at night, they look like they light up with my lights behind it. I absolutely love them. You can add string to the back, staple it to hang them if you want for indoors. Add a piece of wood to the back to have them stand if you need them to. And next up, I got a longer piece of wood. It's about 6 foot. And I did the same process. I took my star. I just kind of did the different shapes, half stars. I painted it with the same paints. And this one I made super distressed looking, like the lines are not perfect. I took a stencil and did the 1776. Added a little white vine. Now if you don't have stain, if you mix your brown paint with majority water, you can stain with that. I outlined my stars in some black. And here we got George. He's going to stick it in the ground. And to finish this, I went and I speckled it with a white and caramel color. George obviously overworks himself and grabs everything. So here he is with Jeremiah digging a hole. Well, at first he didn't think it was deep enough. So my sweet baby George, well, he digs even more. After stepping back, and I have no idea why, I can't remember. Maybe because it was crooked. But you would have thought he was digging down to the earth's core the way he was digging. But here's an up close of it. You can see how I mentioned I did the speckles. And that was just with the caramel and my white paint. I outlined the stars in the black. Added some white rope around it. And I did coat this one since it's more outdoorsy. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful Americana vintage patriotic